Have you ever wondered if those trendy greens powders are really worth the hype? Well, today we're going to do a in-depth review on the Live It Up Greens powder, formerly known as Enzo Greens. Now, as a dietitian, I don't believe in any quick magical fixes. However, I do like to look at the latest supplements and see if they're truly worth it for my clients to improve their nutrition and supplement a healthy diet. So with as many clients as I have asking about greens powders and if they're really worth it, I thought I would give it a go and actually give greens powders a chance to see if the nutrition and the evidence is really there to support greens for a healthy diet. So in this video, we will discuss the nutrition breakdown, the price, the benefits, and where the science is at with greens powders, and overall, is it quality and is it worth the money? Drop a comment in the comment section below. Are you new to greens powder? Have you ever tried them before? Or are you a greens powder connoisseur just looking for the absolute best bang for your buck? This video is sponsored by Live It Up Greens. However, they gave me complete and total freedom to say whatever I'd like in the review. So no restrictions, but of course, take that as you will. If you find this video helpful and want to get a discount on your first purchase of Live It Up Greens, I'd love for you to use my discount code DBN10, and you can find that in the link in the description. So what exactly is Live It Up Greens? Live It Up Greens is a greens powder that has 20 superfoods packed into this powder. What I also love is that it contains probiotics and dietary enzymes to help you break down food and reduce bloating. It contains superfoods like chlorella, spirulina, kale, alfalfa, ginger root, moringa, peppermint leaf, dandelion, and more. Although herbal remedies often lack sufficient evidence to prove their qualities and benefits in the science, I appreciate that Live It Up Greens really only focuses on the tried and true herbs that we've seen out there that have actually been scientifically studied, and not these crazy stimulants and greens that you've never ever heard of that I've seen in some of the different greens powders out there. I'm not gonna lie, I have a little bit of a fear of supplements with crazy herbs in them, and I usually stay away from them because I'm just afraid of all sorts of different things like allergic reactions, how it's actually going to affect me long term, and I definitely don't recommend them to my family, friends, and clients on average unless they've been really studied and looked at in the science. The truth is, you don't actually have to get approved by the FDA before you put a supplement on the market. So companies can put some crazy stuff out there, and I beg of you to be very particular with your supplements and not just get any old herb. Make sure you check with your dietitian beforehand. But that's what I really like about this, is that when I looked at the label, they have a lot of things that you recognize, like ginger root powder and peppermint powder that I've already used in the past in tea form or other form to help with stomach issues and bloating, because I personally have a sensitive stomach. Ginger and peppermint have tons of research to back their support in bloating and digestion, and chlorella and spirulina you might have heard of before too. They are forms of algae and they have a little bit of plant-based protein in them, and they are known for being packed with natural vitamins and minerals. So all the vitamins and minerals that you see on the label are from the greens and not synthetic or added to the powder itself. Some studies have even found that supplementation of these algae can help with lowering cholesterol and also help with insulin sensitivity. And just a few main points about the powder itself. It is free of added sugar, stevia, and artificial sweeteners. It is gluten-free, soy-free, dairy-free, and nut-free, and it is made in a GMP certified facility, which means it is third-party tested for purity and quality. So nothing else is in the product other than what the label says. That's really important to me as a dietitian because That's really important to me as a dietitian because when I get a supplement, I want to make sure that it is third-party tested, meaning by someone else other than someone in the company, so I know that it's actually a quality supplement. And a few notable things about the label itself: it has 2 grams of protein and 3 grams of fiber in every scoop. It also has 1/4 of your daily value of vitamin A, a lot of B12 in there, so good for energy, and if you take a B12 supplement, you probably don't have to take it any longer. with this because it has 691% of your daily value. It also contains 17% of your daily value of iron, which is something that a lot of women and men don't get enough of in their diet. I will say one thing that I noticed is that there are a few nutrition discrepancies from the label to what is shown online. So I'm going to take a wild guess and say that the most up-to-date label is the one that's actually on the package, and the one on their website might not be quite as up-to-date when they made modifications to the greens powder, but just take note that I'm going off of the physical label and not what's online. Overall, I would give it a 4.8 out of 5 on nutritional quality. It's not necessarily a substitute for a multivitamin, but it does have a lot of great things in it like iron, B12, and vitamin A, and it has fiber and protein. So I'd say that's a really good boost for energy. And those enzymes and probiotics, I think, are one of the best selling points for me personally. Now, I want to taste both flavors and give you my honest thoughts and opinions because they have a wild berry flavor, which honestly caught my attention the most at first, but their original, which I've already tried personally, is actually a lot better than it sounds. Let me back it up and explain. So the original greens powder, which you will see as the first pick on the website, has peppermint leaf extract in it, which, to be honest, I was a little bit hesitant on because I don't hate peppermint, but I thought it would be kind of an odd flavor for a greens powder. What are you doing, you crazy boy? But I was really, really impressed when I first had it. It's a very, very small hint of the peppermint flavor and nothing overpowering or just like you're tasting mouthwash. That's what I was expecting, and I was very pleasantly surprised. It blends super seamlessly with your water, so just blend it with a spoon or a shaker bottle, anything like that will do. One thing I did notice, however, is that if you shake it up and then let it sit for a little bit, it will kind of sit and sink to the bottom. So you're gonna have to shake it up again. Not a big deal, but just something texture-wise that you wanna make sure that you do if you're, using the greens powder and not drinking it right away. If the idea of greens powder kind of disgusts you and you don't want to just drink greens powder on its own, the peppermint flavor you could easily blend in with something like a chocolate protein powder to make it like a chocolate peppermint. You could also blend the wild berry greens with a fruit flavor smoothie, and I think it would blend really seamlessly and you could barely probably detect it. I haven't tried it yet, but I'll let you know if and when I do. All right, we're in the kitchen taste testing the wild berry greens. I have already tasted the peppermint and I honestly really like it a lot more than I thought I would. It has a very hint of peppermint. Thank you, Leo, for your comments. He's with me taste testing. He's not taste testing it, but he's with me in the kitchen. I thought I would hate the peppermint, but I actually have a preference for it now. Let's taste test the wild berry. It tastes similar to some of the wild berry protein powders that I've had in the past. I'll admit it kind of has that like artificial berry flavor, but it's not bad, especially if you want to hide the greens flavor. I think if you don't think you're gonna like the greens and greens kind of give you the ick, I would try this one. But if you don't mind a little hint of that like earthy feeling, I would go for the original over the wild berry personally. I think the little bit of a peppermint flavor, I never thought I'd say this, but I prefer it over the wild berry. That's my humble opinion, but both taste good to me. But again, I think I don't mind the little bit of earthy flavor and kind of feeling like I'm getting that burst of energy in the morning. That's my opinion. I'd love to hear your thoughts if you tried these already, or if you end up trying them. Come back to the comments and let me know which one you prefer. I would say relative to any greens powder that I've ever tried before, which honestly, they've all been disgusting, I'd say 5 out of 5. Texture-wise, I'd give it a 4.6 out of 5. There is a little bit of texture, when you have it just in water. Barely detectable, but it's there. It's just like, sometimes when you mix protein powder with liquids, it's still there, but you can tolerate it. The texture is not perfect, but it's the best one that I've personally had so far, especially considering that all I've blended it with is just water. Now let's talk about the actual effectiveness of greens powder and is it worth it? What's my anecdotal experience and what is the actual research saying about greens powders? Again, I've been a really big skeptic of greens powders for a long time. I just didn't know what their true value was, but then when I was asked to do this review, I was like, okay, let me look at the scientific research that's been done and see what it actually says. One study looked at the effect of greens powders comparing participants who had greens powders for 90 days versus participants who had no greens powders. No change. The greens powder group had a reduction in blood pressure after the 90-day mark, and the group that took no greens powders had no significant change. And that was one of the most significant studies that I found when I did the research. However, I think there's a lot of room for more studies to be made about greens powders. Now, research aside, having vegetables and superfoods packed into a convenient powder can help you get more antioxidants in your diet, which is a valuable thing for reducing free radicals that cause damage to cells. In other words, as we age, our cells naturally begin to, have free radical damage from the environment, from the aging process itself, from exposure to environmental toxins and pollution and other things like that. So the more that we have fruits and vegetables and even supplements like greens powders that can protect us from that environmental damage as much as possible, the better. And here's what I'll say about my personal experience from using this greens powder every single day since I received my package. Even on day 1 and 2, I noticed a significant reduction in facial puffiness. And honestly, that wasn't like a symptom that I was looking out for and expecting to have. This is an issue that is commonly referred to as PCOS moon face, where you kind of just randomly get a little puffy and round faced. Great English, Katie. Sometimes get puffier cheeks and a more round face appearance, despite not gaining or losing any weight. Nothing related to actual weight itself. It's just you start to kind of bloat in your face. And honestly, for the longest time, I didn't even know that I experienced it. I just thought that I randomly had those moments where my face looked better and my face looked worse. But then I figured out that that's what it was. It's not really a scientific coined term, but it is a term that's kind of getting more exposure in the online resources. But anyway, long story short, I noticed a significant reduction. I was puffy earlier that week and I started taking the greens and I started to feel less puffy, both in my stomach and in my face. I noticed that on the days that I took the greens powder, I felt extra kind of like a boost of energy, almost like I had coffee. I don't know if that's the B12 or just a placebo effect, but I definitely noticed that I felt just more like a more oomph when I took it. Now, as a dietitian, I do get in my fiber, so I am fairly regular, but I noticed that I was even more regular on the days where I took it versus the days where I kind of forgot to take my greens. Again, I don't think that any supplement, greens or not, is magical and that it's going to transform your life in a few days or weeks or even months. But I do think that the most valuable thing that I got from this supplement in particular is the anti-bloating and the digestion improvement qualities. The long-term qualities, like does it make my skin glow, does it help with my immune system, things like that, are still to be seen, but overall I'm impressed. Now let's talk price, because that matters a lot when it comes to greens powders, because I've seen some pretty crazy prices on greens powder. Now, if you do a one-time purchase of Live It Up Greens, it is $60 for 30 servings, which is $2 per serving. However, if you subscribe to their monthly subscription, you get a significant discount at $1.33 per serving. And I will tell you, by far, that is the cheapest greens on the market by a landslide, especially considered that it is GMP certified, really high quality, and tastes amazing. I did a little bit of a competitor analysis to price just to make sure that I was not being biased and that it was actually significantly cheaper than the other ones. And some of the ones you probably heard of are AG1, $99 for a one-time purchase of AG1. What the F? I've heard of AG1 for so long and I never ever looked at the price and I was like, you've got to be kidding me, right? If you do a monthly subscription on AG1, it is $79 per pouch, which is 30 servings, which adds up to full price $3.30 per serving, or with their subscription price, $2.63 per serving. So still a lot more than Live It Up greens, even if you only do a one-time purchase. The next high quality greens powder is Thorne. They have a lot of good quality supplements otherwise, not just their greens powder, but I thought I would check them out because I trust them for being a GMP quality supplement as well. And they were $68 for 30 scoops, which makes it a total of $2.27 per serving for Thorne. So I don't know about you guys, but $1.33 is sounding pretty good right about now. Still not like the cheapest thing on earth, but when you consider that it has dietary enzymes and it also has a probiotic, so it can take the place of both of those supplements, I wouldn't recommend it taking place of a multivitamin if you're pregnant, breastfeeding, or trying to conceive or anything like that. But if you are just a regular, person that doesn't have any crazy nutrition goals and isn't a woman of childbearing age, I would say that it almost supplements for a multivitamin too. So holistically speaking, greens are not cheap, but they do take the place of other supplements that you might need that you no longer need to purchase. And again, if you want to use my discount code, use DBN10 and check the link in the description or in the pinned comment, and it'll take you right to Live It Up Greens so you can choose your flavor. Let me know below, are you going to choose the original peppermint or the wild berry greens? Let me know. And for price, we have to give it a rating. I would rate it at a 5 out of 5. In relativity to other greens powders, it is by far the most affordable. You don't want to have a cheaper price and sacrifice quality, but you also don't want to spend like your whole paycheck on greens because who has that kind of money nowadays? All right, and real quick, I want to cover, are there any side effects and who are greens really for? So as far as my personal experience, I didn't experience any side effects. I'll be honest, I was a little bit worried that these greens powders would have some weird GI side effects. Personally didn't experience any, which I was really glad about. No laxative effect, no weird stools. Again, more regular, but totally normal poos. This is what we talk about here on YouTube. I also scoured the website's reviews and Amazon, which tends to be a little more open and out there, and I didn't find anyone speaking out about any significant side effects, so that's a positive sign. And also, who do I think greens powders are really designed for? In other words, who would they benefit? I think greens powders could be beneficial for most average folks, but especially if you are looking to get the benefits from the enzymes and probiotics, like you have a sensitive stomach like myself, if you don't get your 5 to 7 recommended servings of veggies per day, which, let's be honest, most of us don't, if you want to support a healthy immune system, or if you just want to add a little pep to your step and you don't want to add an extra cup of coffee in your day. If you are pregnant or breastfeeding, of course, check with your doctor before you start any new supplement. That is just a given for any supplement. And yeah, let me know if you have any follow-up questions that I didn't cover in this review. So in conclusion, if you are looking for the most high quality, affordable greens out there on the market, Live It Up Greens is it. Even if you're not a fan of the idea of drinking your greens, which I totally understand, Live It Up does a great job of not making you feel like you're drinking broccoli. Do you need greens powders to be healthy? Absolutely not. That's not what I'm saying. But if you have the extra funds to put towards something that's going to benefit your digestion and your overall health, then I say go for it. Let me know what you'd like me to do a review on in the future. And if you'd like to continue hanging out here on YouTube, then click or tap the screen to head on over to the next video. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye guys.